When we marked our 50th episode last year, we did so with a quick year in review that we called the Pentagrammys Awards. And since I referred to them then as the first annual Pentagrammys, and since I'm a man of my word, and since our 100th episode falls so close to the real Grammys, I don't know that we have a choice but to reprise that bit again this year.
But just to be clear, I'm talking to you, Christian college students in Georgia. We don't believe in God, and we also don't believe in an evil version. The pentagram thing just like fit into the title pun.
Right.
You believe in Satan. We're reasonable.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Though your bafflement that Satanists believe in the thing that you believe in still strikes me as internally inconsistent. And joining us, of course, once more to put another year in the books is friend of the show, Eli Bosnick. Eli, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, guys. Happy anniversary.
Oh, I thank you, sir.
That.
It's actually, this is going to come out 2 days before our 2-year anniversary, so it's
tearing up your blowjob coupons.
All right, so now this is your first visit of 2015. How's the year treating you so far, sir?
So far, taxes. So far, my year is just. It's funny how much money they take. You always forget. Then you're going to go to prison.
Well, see, yeah, that's what fucks me up is because now with my new type of employment, nobody's taking anything, and I'm just going to owe all that shit. So.
Yeah, that's always a fun year-end thing where TurboTax all of a sudden becomes like a weird, abusive boyfriend, just like, all right, I need $500 for beer or else I'm going to send my friends to your house.
All right, so we're going to just follow the same formula that we did last year, complete with the same basic awards, which means that our first Pentagrammys of the night will go to 2014's Best Religious News Item. Now, last year's nominees included a statue of the devil, a canine IED, and the rise of the atheist church. So, Eli, what would you like to nominate for the Best Religious News Item of 2014?
I have to give the Florida Satanists who gave out the Satan's coloring book that scared everyone away from their Share Your Nutballness Day.
Right, we've been fighting that fight
chosen.
for a while.
Well chosen.
They finally found something that would actually make them balk. All the atheist shit didn't quite do it.
It's fantastic to watch leaders in those situations just lose their minds in trying to explain why one side should be allowed but not the other. Mm-hmm. It's just like, look, you can come in the clubhouse, but only if you know the password.
Now, Heath, what do you got? Best religious news item of 2014.
Oh, man. All right, I'm going to go with the only school massacre I've ever been happy about. That would be the suicide bomber instructor in Iraq who killed himself and his class of 22 terrorist students using live explosives in a demonstration.
Okay,
only ways to simultaneously botch 22 suicide bombers. One is difficult. 22 is
I don't believe that's impressive. The only school massacre you've been happy about.
Wow. We're not going to get too much deeper into that. Now, those are both great nominees, of course. I'd like to throw my support behind the Free Mubarak campaign. Now, this is a quick refresher. This was the guy, the Nigerian dude that was deemed mentally ill for not believing that his parking spaces are divinely ordained and was tossed into an asylum for it. As you recall, he managed to swipe a cell phone, had way better luck with Twitter's mobile app than I've ever had, and sent out an atheist call to action, which eventually led to enough international pressure to free him. So, pat on the back to the online atheist community and a little jizz in the eye to anybody who says that online activism is useless. So now that'll bring around our second category, which might have been my favorite from last year. Past nominees include the Pope, Antonin Scalia, and Catholic God. So to find out who will join this pantheon, I turn to you, Heath. Who is your nominee for 2014's religious figure who has done the most to promote atheism?
I'm going with Ken Ham.
Good choice.
For accidentally making the point that religion is silly if you go by things that have happened, or what he calls observational history. And
or science.
For bending over on stage while Bill Nye dropped some science on him. Yeah, that was all.
Also, and he's been doing this for several years, but also for doing such a great job showing us exactly how impossible it is for a 900-year-old and his kids to build so many cubits of arc. But I'm going to nominate Pastor David J. Manning of the Atla World Ministries in the Big Apple. That's the sperm in the lattes unleashing the homo demons guy. You'll recall
you guys
him,
remember?
of course.
No?
Now, this dude is almost certainly mentally ill, so I hesitate to make fun of him too much, but I think it's significant for this particular category because it shows that the ramblings of a dude who is clinically batshit in the minds of many congregants are utterly indistinguishable from the words of a normal preacher.
It's insane how many people say, because listen, if this guy walked up to you on the street and was like, they got semen in your latte,
right.
pops, you'd be like, oh, sorry, man, I don't have any money. But he sits from
He's got a YouTube
and everyone's just like, well, you got to respect his belief. Like, I have a brand new way to place all the homeless. Just tell people they're preachers. And all of a sudden, they've got thousands of people giving them money. Just, hey, don't let that out. I heard
It
they
all started.
edited my voice. I think they like me, you know?
All right, well, you've made a damn good case for my nominee. How about your nominee, Eli?
I gotta go for Kirk Cameron. Kirk Cameron
well
is
played.
here. I mean, I am slanted, of course, toward the movie section, but Kirk Cameron has just topped all Christian movies by making the single most beautiful, crazy movie without content, and with the world universally replying with a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
As close as you can mathematically get to 0%.
Asymptote to
Absolutely.
zero. Impressive.
Now, I'm just going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that is the beginning and the end of the award season for Kirk Cameron. Now, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to take the lead on this next category. Last year, this one included shit-eating, piss-drinking, and Paul Walker, so there's clearly a lot to live up to. But my nominee for 2014's moment that most conflicted with the concept of a loving God has to be the story of Ricky Wagner. Do you guys remember this guy?
Is this the Ohio Blast?
Yes, this is the guy that claimed to the cops that his Bible, the Bible that was in his breast pocket, stopped a bullet during an attack, only to later admit that he'd faked the whole thing, shot his own Bible, put it in his breast pocket post facto, after stabbing himself several times for effect, just to sell the whole thing. Now, obviously, a lot about this suggests that if there is a God, he loves this fucking show, but the reason that it gets my nomination is because there was no bullet hole in the shirt pocket that he put the Bible into. All right, so if there's God, he watched this dude do all this shit to prove God's existence and didn't even whisper into his ear at some point, hey, dude, you should probably put some kind of entry wound on the fucking shirt. So that's my nominee.
I love that so much because there's no camera footage of it, but somewhere in the world at some point was that fat, crazy piece of shit just sitting somewhere stabbing himself,
right.
going like, I'm gonna be famous.
Well, and he did this all slightly off camera because there is camera footage from the bus, but you just can't quite see him. So he moved into frame and reached with his own hand to his neck and pulled himself back out of frame and that kind of shit. So he did this all very quickly as well, just slightly off camera.
The Austin Powers thing. Did he do a canoe and an elevator? And now I'm having to go down this elevator.
Canoe's the best one.
Or they're mugging me and shooting my breast pocket.
I bet he was probably planning on doing the whole escalator and rowboat thing, and then after a couple of stab wounds, he's like, "Fuck it, let me shoot this Bible real quick." Now, do you have a nominee here, Eli?
Yeah, mine's pretty simple and pretty mathematical. God's Not Dead made $62 million.
Oh God!
Seriously?
Yeah, $62 million.
Which means we'll almost certainly get a sequel. Which is
it's already out there. I'm so excited. I saw the trailer.
Oh, right on.
God's still not dead.
Awesome. 2015 just keeps looking better, man. How about you, Heath? What do you got?
I'm going with Iran passing a law in November that's going to kill pretty much all the dogs there.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah. Also, I read somewhere that global warming is a real thing now. So why would God do that and only tell the atheist scientists first? That would make sense.
Right. Just finally got around to telling the Pope. And that brings us to perhaps the most contentious category, or at least the one with the largest pool of nominees. Jenny McCarthy, Pat Robertson, and Muslim God have all been honored here before, but 2014 offered up a wide swath of potential biggest assholes. Now, Eli, before I ask you for your nominee, I feel the need to once again point out that we're not actually going by rectal circumference here. This would be the biggest figurative asshole of 2014. Who do you have?
Oh, okay. Well, then I take back my nomination for Asa Akira. I'm really proud of her and all the work she's done this year. But if we're going,
who is that? I have no idea what name you're referencing.
Which I didn't get that email. But fine. If we're going with figurative, I'm going to go with everyone who has written about how the Charlie cartoons were racist, and so you kind of deserve to get shot a whole bunch.
Well, dude, I normally I'm a big stickler for the rules. That's all 2015 shit. But in this case, I am perfectly willing to retroactively apply their assholery to 2014 as well. So, yeah, by all means.
They were still those people.
Yeah, exactly. They were still assholes back then.
Amortize that over 100 years. They're still assholes.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll give it especially to Glenn Greenwald, who wrote the fantastic words, "If one doesn't expect violence, one doesn't mock a religion."
Like I said, I've already said my piece about that on the diatribe, but I think I could do about 5 more minutes on it if I absolutely had to. I'm gonna refrain for the moment. Heath, what do you got for us? Biggest asshole of 2014.
Well, I'm going with Muslim God. I think I might have done that last year. This is the Meryl Streep of religious asshole award ceremonies. Like, Muslim God, no question. And, like we were just talking about, you want to hear about the latest dick move, turn on any television channel at any time right now.
Right.
No, he's great. Yeah, Muslim God is very great. He's like he comes out with his Sophie's Choice, and then all of a sudden he turns around and there's adaptation. You're like, oh man, you're right. That's crazy. You kill all the dogs, and then boom, you turn around and kill a bunch of people in France. But then you kill 2,000 people in Africa and pretend that one is even more or less Muslim than the other Muslim. That's so fun. It's like the inception of being an asshole.
Right. It's like a nesting doll of assholery. Now, mine is going to seem like kind of a petty nominee after all of this, but I still want to nominate him. It's Gordon Klingenschmidt, a guy that I talked about so much last year that I can actually spell his name right on the first try. Here you've got a guy with nothing on his resume except Navy chaplain, bloviating fuckwit, frothing homophobe, and go-to 30 seconds on the clock inspiration, and he manages to parlay that into an actual seat in an actual state house in an actual country, using campaign literature, by the way, that claimed that New York business owners were being forced to butt-fuck people of the same gender by law in order to keep their business licenses. So
I heard a rumor. That's why I laughed.
Yeah, that's what they
true.
told me, too. Eli, I was told that, too. It turns out that, no, that's just people wanting you to butt fuck them. Now, this is going to bring us to our final category, and I am going to restrict this one to 2014, though we clearly have some worthy nominees in line for next year's award already. So, Heath, why don't you start us out on this one? Who will be the first person to join Sam Harris, Jamie Ian Swiss, and Hemant Mehta as Pentagrammys nominee for Atheist of the Year?
All right, well, this is a weird one. I'm going with Pope Francis, and I think he's one or two gaffes away from admitting it. He's going to say it. So I'm already nominating him for next year. By the end of 2015, I'm saying he comes out as gay, takes up atheism, and fucks a hooker with a condom. It's all going to happen.
It's going to happen. You know he's just going to come out there. The curtains will open before he's ready, just as he's squirting on her lower. No, it's a metaphor. Wait, everything's a metaphor. This is a metaphor for fucking hookers. Come on, guys. It's a really fun.
Well, but you know what?
Gets
That
his
would be a
metaphor straight from
perfect.
God.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect biblical metaphor, you know. Now, I'm going to go with co-nominations this year for Dan Barker and Annie Laurie Gaylor, co-presidents of the FFRF. They've been doing great work for a lot of years, of course, but they've really outdone themselves this year. They've been on the forefront of dozens of huge issues, and I think post-Hobby Lobby, their approach and resources are more important than ever, so they're going to get my nominees for Atheists of the Year 2014. Eli?
And I got to give mine to Peter Boghossian, not just for Manual, but just especially for the way he destroys people on Twitter. And his Twitter account it's my favorite. It's my favorite. Whenever I feel bad and I watch, Sam Harris on Twitter, just desperately hoping that someone will understand, or, any of our modern people just being like, well, you're right, I might be a fag, but what if we thought of it this way? Peter Boghossian just goes, blocked. Just blocked. It's beautiful. He goes,
Well, he certainly took care of that C.J. Whirleman problem that he was having, didn't he? Now, that brings the nomination phase of the second annual Pentagrammy Awards to a close. Last year, we didn't worry too much about who actually won any of this shit. But this year, I'm going to be setting up 5 polls on our Facebook page. We're going to invite our listeners to chime in on who the winners were. The poll's going to go up the day this episode is released. They'll stay open for 10 days, and we'll announce the winners on episode 102. Heath, Eli, thanks as always for your help.
Glad to be here.
thanks for having me.
You bet. And actually, Eli's going to be sticking around here when we come back. Lucinda's going to be joining the three of us to wrap up the Old Testament once and for all. Thank